So, well, that was wonderful today. Thank you, nurses. I mean, what a wonderful day, right? Yeah. I mean, we've had quite a day today, quite a day in general, just to have that kind of talent. Gavin Newsom did a wonderful job, did he not? And yeah. And then, before him, Jane Sanders and her son Dave Driscoll, who's the executive director of the Sanders Institute, has been joining us, and let's hear it for both of them. I think Dave's way over there, Jane. Where's Dave? All right. Say hello. And tonight we're going to have a lot of fun because we've got Van Jones with us. We've got the person that Van Jones never wants to follow in his life, Nina Turner. And since he told me that, there's some people you don't follow. And I said, oh, Bernie Sanders. And he said, oh, nobody follows Bernie Sanders. He's like in a league of his own. That's what Van said, right? And so I thought that we should call up Bernie Sanders. Sorry, Van. Bernie, feel the burn.
Okay, you heard me already, so I'm going to be very brief. I don't usually give two speeches on the same day to the same people. Okay. All right, this is what I do want to say. I want, first of all of you to know that nurses are the most respected profession in our country because all of the extraordinary work you do. So thank you again. And when you lead the fight for Medicare for all, it has a profound impact on the debate because people trust nurses. Second point, I know, believe me, I know because I work in Washington, D.C., that these are difficult times for our country. But I want you all never to forget for 1 second that on every major important issue, the vast majority of the American people supports a progressive agenda. So it's not like, we can say, oh, we support Medicare, we're brave, we're courageous, we're way out there. Sorry, that's not the case. That's what the majority of the American people want. All right? American people in overwhelming numbers want to raise the minimum wage to a living wage. They want to do away with women making 80 cents on the dollar compared to men. They want real campaign finance reform so that billionaires do not buy elections. And today I had the real privilege, along with Jane Kim, of being at San Francisco San Francisco City College. And what this city has done in making that college tuition free will have a major impact in that debate all over this country, making public colleges and universities tuition free. All right? Point is, and here is the point, when we stand together, and when we don't allow Trump and his friends to divide us up by the color of our skin or the country we came from or our sexual orientation or our religion, etc., etc., when we come together around a progressive agenda, we are the vast majority of the people of our country, and we're going to elect people to implement that agenda, and we're going to transform this country. Nurses, thank you for your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernie. Thank you, Bernie. Van, I really didn't do that to torture you, I promise. Because you're awesome. I also want to call out Jamie Court, who's the head of the Consumer Watchdog Organization in California that does so much in terms of patient protection, consumer protection. Jamie, just stand to be recognized. We love Jamie. We work with his organization. It's here for Jamie. Okay, so we're going to get ready to roll. I think we're going to show a film first, right? Okay, but before we show a film first, I'm going to ask Co-President Koki Giles to come up.
Good evening. So I got to go after Bernie. Thanks. At our last major gathering, the People's Summit in Chicago, we were lucky enough to have amazing speakers representing so many of our political concerns. One of them, he's up next, made such an excellent point. He told us that common pain should lead to common purpose. We see the pain on the bodies of our patients and on our own. Nurses know from pain, and we know that being able to talk about that pain is key to mobilizing this country in support of real solutions. Our next guest, author, CNN host, and environmental leader Van Jones has a long track record as a solutionary. From ending the school-to-prison pipeline to green jobs, to training the next generation of leaders. If it works, Van is probably there to offer his support. Thank you for being there, Van. Thank you for being here. And good luck with the upcoming release of your latest book, Beyond the Messy Truth. And just as a pause, we're going to roll a video first.
From the very beginning, America has always been two things, not just one. On the one hand, there was this founding reality. There's also always been that founding dream. Now, the founding reality was ugly and unequal. Now, don't get mad at me. That's not me talking. That's according to Thomas Jefferson himself. If you don't believe me, go to Washington, D.C., and you see the Jefferson Memorial. It's this beautiful place. It's an amazing place. But if you look closely, written in marble and stone is this statement: I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just. I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just. That does not sound like somebody who thinks that they've solved all the problems of the world. That sounds like something's wrong. It sounds like something is off. What is Jefferson talking about? He's talking about slavery. He's talking about the enslavement. He's talking about the fact that even at our founding, this monstrous institution had not been resolved. And sometimes I like to imagine maybe he was thinking about even more than that. Maybe he was thinking about the fact that women could not vote, founding reality. Maybe he was thinking about the fact that Native Americans were having their land stolen and their lives stolen by the millions. That's the founding reality. The fact that if you were not a white, male, heterosexual landowner, you couldn't vote at all. That founding reality was ugly and unequal, and it even bothered Thomas Jefferson. Now, if that's all America was, and that's all America ever became, there's really no reason for anyone to be a patriot. But here's the good news. America is also the founding dream. If you are standing there in that Jefferson Memorial and you just turn your head a few degrees, you see something else written up there too. It says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all are created equal. That's the founding dream. It's a beautiful dream. It's a dream about equality. Who are we? What makes Americans American? We got every color, every gender, every sexuality, every faith. Every kind of human being ever born in one country. What makes us Americans? It's very simple. We are that unique people, this rainbow people, who every generation tries to close the gap between that ugly founding reality and the beauty of the dream. So this all begs a certain question, which is, who then are the real patriots? It's really easy to go to the Statue of Liberty and take a picture of yourself and say, look, I'm a patriot. That's cheap patriotism. Read that poem at the bottom of that statue and fight for immigrants. That's deep patriotism. It's easy to sing America the Beautiful and say, I'm a patriot. That's cheap patriotism. Defend America's beauty from the oil spillers and the clear cutters. That's deep patriotism. It's easy to put your hand on your heart and say the Pledge of Allegiance and just say liberty and justice for all. That's cheap patriotism. Go to a prison, go to a deportation center, go to a mosque and actually fight for justice. That's deep patriotism. Nobody gets to call themselves a patriot if what they're actually doing is trying to drag us back to the ugliness of the founding reality. The only real patriots are those who are fighting to get us closer to the beauty of the dream.
Now, welcome Van Jones. I had to get my hug. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you. So you like my video? It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be here. I had to make that video because after November I was struggling. If this is making America great again, I don't know what great is and I don't know what America is. So I had to go back and figure out for myself first, who are we? And how are we going to get out of this mess? And I went deep, man. And I realized something that got me through. And I wrote a book about it. I did a tour about it. I'm proud to be here with you to talk about it. We've been told a lie our whole lives, and that lie caught up to us in November. That lie caught up to us in November. And the lie is simply this, that America, a democratic republic, was founded in 1776, and it's the oldest constitutional democracy, and everything goes from there. But the reality is that what was founded in 1776 wasn't a democracy yet. It was a slave state on stolen land. That's what it was. That's what it was. And we have to be honest about that. That's the bad news. But the good news is that because the founding and the creation of a democratic republic that includes everybody is not the act of a few people on a single day. It's something that takes generations. It takes centuries. What that means is Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass were founders too. They were founders too. What that means is all those workers, some known and some unknown, who shed their blood to make sure that America was a place where working people could be respected. The labor movement, that's a part of the founding. They're founders too. The union movement is a part of the founding of our country. Dr. King, Ella Jo Baker, Fannie Lou Hamer, Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, the people who fought back at Stonewall were founders. They were founders of the country that we're building. And if that's true, then so are you. And so are we. We are the founders of the America that our children and our grandchildren will live in. And it's tough to be a founder. It's tough. None of the other people who laid down their part, none of the other people who did their work of closing that gap between that founding reality and that founding dream, none of them had it easy. But none of them surrendered. And none of them gave up. And as a result, we have their work to build upon. And there is no greater founder. There is no greater founder of the America that we are working to create than the people in this room who are part of the heartbeat of the labor movement, the heartbeat of the push in this country for compassion and for concern and for care to be the norm. That is the contribution of the nurses. And I applaud you and I appreciate you and I lift you up because it's your contribution that's going to save us. The biggest challenge in the 21st century is a simple challenge. It's just to stay human. It's just to stay human. Not to let the haters and the robots and the artificial intelligence and the drones and the smart screens and the driverless cars and your kids on the damn cell phone take us away from each other. And you are the people who, no matter how many mergers they do, no matter how good the technology gets, you are the people who give the real medicine, the real healing, the human touch, the look of concern, the hug to the kid sitting out in the waiting room who doesn't know how to see her grandmama now. That's what you do. And if that can be a part, if that can be the cornerstone, your ethic of the new century will be fine. We'll be just fine. And I know it's hard. And I know it's difficult. And I know you get tired of seeing your values absolutely disrespected every day out of this White House. But I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this because I've seen it in my own life, and I've seen it in my entire study of history. breakdowns lead to breakthroughs if you use them right. If you use them right. Breakdowns lead to breakthroughs if you use them right. And that's why I'm so proud to be here with two people who you don't have to guess are going to be in the history books of founding the America that's worthy of our children and our grandchildren. I'm so proud to be here with Bernie and Jane Sanders. I'm so proud to be here with them. Because in our most difficult moment, and this is true in your personal life, the tendency is to get small. The tendency is to withdraw, cover up, hope it gets better, try to appease the bully. That's the tendency. It's a natural thing to even if an animal will just shrink up. It takes a special kind of courage and leadership and vision to say, no, this is the time to get big. This is the time not to be on defense, trying to defend the status quo. This is the time for us to go on offense and build the healthcare system that we want, that we deserve, that we need. And that's what the Sanders have brought to America. That's what they brought to America. We can go on offense now. We can go on offense now. We can be big folk now. We don't have to hide. And we don't have to sit here and apologize for and defend stuff that we didn't like in the first dadgum place. That's the problem when you're on defense. When you're on defense, you have to defend a broken status quo that we didn't want in the first place. Valerie Kaur, who is emerging now as one of the great moral leaders of our time with her Revolutionary Love Project, said maybe this is not the darkness of the tomb. Maybe it's the darkness of the womb. Maybe we needed to go through something tough so we could realize that trying to appease the unappeasable and compromise on stuff that should never be compromised on is not the way to go anyway. So now we ain't got nothing to lose. We got to go on and be who we are. We crazy enough to want everybody to see a doctor. We're crazy enough to want every child to be able to see a doctor, and we're not going to apologize for it anymore. That's who we are. Get used to it. We're not going anywhere. Deal with it. So that's it. Now you watch how the establishment tries to twist and turn to make it seem that the good people providing good ideas with good sense are up to no good, and the no good people offering bad ideas in both parties are reasonable. I heard someone say that the Republicans are making this last-ditch effort to be true, to deliver on their campaign promises. No, that's why I watch TV. I'm not just on there. We have to be true to our campaign promises. You know, and if you just listen with your brain cut off, you say, yeah, that makes sense. You know, I guess they do have to do that. Like there's something noble about throwing 32 million people off of health care. Now, this is where the common sense of good people has to come forward. You sat up there and engaged in campaign rhetoric based on a lie. If you're sitting up here saying that you're going to repeal and replace Obamacare and put at risk all these folks' ability to see doctors and get medicine, but you know when you reach in your back pocket, you have NAM plan, not one, no policy, no prescription, no viable idea That's not a campaign promise. That is campaign rhetoric, playing politics with people's lives. It's not noble. There's nothing noble about that. There's nothing honorable about that. Risking the lives of millions of Americans to save face in the aftermath of a false promise is not leadership. It's misleadership. And what we've got to be willing to do is stand up very, very clearly to people and tell the stories of the folks who are going to suffer under this system, the one they're talking about, and any other one that doesn't guarantee health care to everybody as a right. Now, part of the reason that the nurses movement and union is so important is because, as we were just talking about at the table with the senator and with Roseanne. By the way, give Roseanne a round of applause. What an incredible leader you guys have in her. I tell you what, if we had 3 more of her in America, we would have no problems. It'd be wrapped up and finished. Oh, yeah. But I was listening to Roseanne, and she was talking about, actually, the senator was bragging on her, Senator Sanders was bragging on her for raising the point that it's the nurses that see the consequence of all the other bad policies, of not having preventative health care, all of the bad policies that we have when it comes to the environment and everything else. You see the consequence of that. You're the final witness to our folly. And one of the great things I love about this union is your stand on things environmental. I'm primarily an environmental person. And we have a grave threat coming that I hope you will raise your voices about. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, is just one of the things that your leadership is going to be needed for going forward. Trump wants to cut the Environmental Protection Agency's budget, not by 2%, not by 5%, not by 10%, but by 1/3. He wants to cut the Environmental Protection Agency. What does that mean for you? First of all, the way they justify it is so despicable and so dishonest. They say, well, we have to cut all these environmental regulations, Van. These job-killing environmental regulations. You environmental people, you're supporting these job-killing environmental regulations. And we're going to cut them because we're good, noble people, and you're terrible people who don't want anybody to have a job. And we're going to... I say, I'm so sorry. This is not about job-killing regulation. It's about child-killing deregulation. When you take away protection, when you take away protection from children, you're killing American children. You're poisoning American children. You're polluting American children. Don't lie to me. I ain't no dummy. Oh, no. It's not the Environmental Regulation Association. It's the Environmental Protection Agency. You're cutting protection. See, they use tricky words. I've noticed. Never let you talk about regulations. It's the Environmental Protection Agency. You're cutting protection. You're cutting protection. And you know what happens when children are not protected from lead, from toxins. You know what it's in places just like across the bridge over there in Oakland. You got children walking into public high schools, setting off metal detectors. Not because they brought a gun, not because they brought a knife, because 1/3 of them have asthma inhalers in their pockets. We've got an asthma epidemic. And you're going to cut the protection for those children by 1/3? It's easy to talk about America the Beautiful, but you don't defend America's beauty. You stand with every polluter and oil spiller and despoiler I'm not no dummy. So it's coming down to it now. It's coming down to it now. And I'm so proud to be here with another founder, a young woman named Vienne Trong, who's in this room right now. She's a CEO of the Dream Corps. She's a great leader of Green for All. She's a young woman who came here to this country as a refugee boat baby from Vietnam, 11th of 11 children. Her mother and her father worked in sweatshops to be able to put food on the table for Vienne. And the whole family bet on the baby. They bet on the baby to be the first one to go to college and be the first one to go to law school. And guess what? That baby delivered. She delivered. She went to college and she went to law school. And when she came home, they told her, all right now, you get the heck out of here. Don't come back to Oakland. There's too much crime in Oakland. There's too much poverty in Oakland. There's too much pollution in Oakland. You go on and have a good life now. She said, no, Mama. No. I didn't get this education to escape poverty. I got this education to end poverty. I'm going to use what I got to fight for what we need and what we deserve. Give Vienne Trong a round of applause. Where's Vienne Trong? Stand up, girl. We got some heroes and some sheroes in this building who are fighting every day. Fighting every day. I want you to know you're not fighting by yourself. The Dream Corps is with you. Green for All is with you. You got Vienne Trong with you today. We got a good movement today. So, I got enough sense to know I'm on a roll, so I'm not going to push my luck. Don't underestimate the heroism of your own cause. You're trying to do something hard. Don't forget that. In this country, we got every kind of person. And despite these haters, we mostly get along. We mostly get along. But we're trying to have 300 million, 320 million people on a democratic basis with every faith and every kind of human ever born, all in one country, and we're trying to solve climate change, and we're trying to get education, and we're trying to fight poverty, and we're trying to fight for peace. It's never been done. It's never been done in the history of the world. A democratic republic with this many different kind of people solving these kind of problems. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be hard. But there are people right now who have hope in their hearts because of you. There are people right now who have hope in their hearts because of what you're doing. And one of the great reasons I have hope in my heart is because leaders like Nina Turner, who you're about to hear from, don't clap yet. Nope. Somebody else supposed to. First of all, y'all will never stop clapping once you start clapping for her. But somebody else gets the honor of introducing her. I don't want to steal that honor. But what I want to say to you is this. When you have people like Nina Turner, and you have people like Roseanne and Jane and Bernie Sanders, and you have the people in this room, celebrated and not, you are not the resistance. That's not who you are. You are a pro-democracy movement with roots that go way before this country was ever started, with a destiny that extends way past Donald Trump and any of these people. They are the resistance. You are the heroes and the sheroes fighting for liberty and justice for all. Don't surrender. Thank you very much. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't surrender. We're on offense now. We're on offense now. Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator Sanders.
Wow. Every night this week we've had some really powerful speakers, and each night I've been sitting in my chair and watching nurses around the room, feeling the energy, the anger, the excitement, the despair, all of the emotions that go with being a nurse or being somebody here that really cares about what happens to our planet. And it just, oh my God. I just have to say that when I was a way much younger nurse, I was in CNA, and I thought, I want to get into a real union. So at one point I had thought about trying to decertify CNA. I know. And I thought about, let's go to the Teamsters, because they're a kick-ass union that actually fights for working people. And at one point there was an option for SEIU, and it was really pretty amazing, because I kept thinking, there's got to be a way to make the nurses union a union that really cares about nurses and cares about our issues and cares about our community and cares about the people that we take care of, right? And I am so friggin' proud of our union. I've just looked over the days and seen all of the people here that acknowledge the work that we've done and give us more challenges. Thank you, Van. I'm sure Nina will have some challenges for us. Thank you, Bernie, for putting all of our issues on your campaign trail, because now we have those challenges. But nurses have been always at the forefront when their patient is at risk. They are fighting, and they will do anything they can to get their patient to survive. And that is the same cause that we are going to take to all of these issues. So thank you for highlighting those. It was inspiring. Thank you so much. So I have another script. And I was talking to Nina this morning, and she says, oh, please don't follow that script and read the bio and all that. And I'm going, whoa, I get to go off script again. But there's a few things that I really don't want to forget from Nina. And one of them is that she was on the Bernie campaign day in and day out. And the first time that I saw her, and the nurses that were at the various states and areas that saw her, she really gave us hope. She actually made us believe that this was going to succeed despite all odds. And if it hadn't been for the Russians, we would have won. Be that as it may, it really didn't turn out. But the thing that I really appreciated about Nina was her courage to talk about where she came from, how devastating her life was, how horrible it was in many respects. But I thought about it in my own life. And it really resonated with me, because my mother had 3 girls, and my father died at 38 and left her alone. And she was a homemaker with no visible means of support. And if it hadn't been for Medicare and Social Security, we would have been homeless. But it was encouraging to see Nina talk about that in a way that brought it home to people about what these social safety nets really mean. You can banty them around, but the day-to-day life changes are really what are important to people, and that's what nurses talk about when they're dealing with their patients every day. And it was so inspiring to hear Nina talk about these issues. So one of the things that I thought was really important on this script was to talk about her program on the Real News Network. She hosts this show, so you can watch this and feel inspired, because I used to be sort of a news junkie, and I used that to be able to talk about things that affected nurses. But I found myself after the election deleting all of my news alerts, deleting all the news reports, because it was too depressing to deal with that and then have to deal with real life. But Nina has been one of those inspirations that you just get so much energy from it. You get like this re-energizing boost of power that you really believe that you can change things. Just like Van's message tonight makes you think that, okay, we're on the right track, let's do it. And so I want to make sure that now we bring Nina Turner on, because she will inspire you and take that energy back into your facilities and bring it to your communities and really be able to make a change. So with that, I want to welcome Nina Turner.
Love you guys. Love you so much. I want to thank Deborah for that wonderful, wonderful introduction. I did tell her don't read the bio. You're never as good as the bio anyway. Man, Van Jones did that, didn't he? Man. So, I got to give a shout out to some folks. Definitely going to shout out Rad. Man, I'm telling you. Love her to death. And if I ever had to have a foxhole buddy, baby, it would be Rad all day long. I understood what Gavin was saying this morning about getting a note saying this is the letter we gonna sign. And if she is not a general for all good things, I don't know who is. So I just love you so much, Roseanne. To the California nurses, to the National Nurses Association, man, you guys are the coldest and the baddest in the land. Can't nobody do it like the nurses. And I mean that. Love you too, darling. And what can I say about Senator and Dr. Jane Sanders? Not many words, and they've heard me say it all last year on the campaign trail. As I described the senator as someone who has heart-soul agreement, very much in the same spirit of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Senator, we love you. Dr. Sanders, we love you, and we appreciate the sacrifice that you and your family have made. I know that Dave is in the house tonight. When somebody runs for office, they are not just running as an individual. Their entire family runs with them. So can we give a shout out to the Sanders family? Say it like you mean it. Love, love, love. So I just want to lift you. It's not much more that I can say that the people who have spoken before me did not say. But I want to remind you, nurses, and I know that this is a woman-led, woman-dominated organization with a few good men. But I'm going to tell you, if I was speaking Sunday morning at a Women's Day service in the black church tradition, and those of you who have never been to black church, baby, you got to go. Ain't no church like it. Now, it is like working a part-time job, so be ready. But there is no other experience on earth quite like it. But if I was preaching on a Sunday morning, I would say, and this is for the sisters, not to the exclusion of the brothers, but if God made anything better than a woman, just any little thing at all, he must have kept it to himself. Can I get an amen, sisters? Can I get an amen, sisters? Can we get some amen on that? Now, We are not perfect, sisters, but we get as close as somebody can be walking on earth. So love my sisters and a few good men. So, I mean, you all have worked so hard, and as the senator continues to point out, and I got to give a shout out to Representative John Conyers in this speech as well, who's been introducing Medicare for All since 2003, and it takes teamwork to make the dream work. But to have the senator, as I've often said, be the man in the arena, as President Teddy Roosevelt once said. But none of that could have happened without the voices and the push from the grassroots and nurses. You have been leading the way every single time, even when people thought that this could not happen. And we are right there because Medicare for All is an idea whose time has come. So you all know, as a historian, I channel lots of folks, and I'm feeling President Nelson Mandela tonight, I'm feeling Mother Jones tonight, and I'm feeling Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. And of course, y'all know I'm feeling my grandma. And we're going to end with grandma. But President Nelson Mandela once said that it always seems impossible until it is done. And despite what it looks like, what it feels like, this moment, this incredible moment in our history is right there. And so we must continue to push and breathe. And despite, as Van said, the naysayers that are out there who are going to tell us that it cannot be done, let the folks who believe that it can't be done get out of the way of the folks who believe that it can be done, that it must be done, that it should be done. This is the moral issue of our time. As Deborah laid out, as she was telling you a little bit about my family's history, and many of the nurses know it, but some of you are in this room who don't know it, why I was so motivated by the candidacy of Senator Sanders, why I took it so personally, because all of us have a story. We have stories, and our stories are our strength. But I'm going to park that right there for a minute. I do want to say that we need to not lose our humanity in all of our fights. Can I just preach for a minute? Can I just tell you this for a minute? That it is not okay when we are pushing for things that are good, that are just, that are right, that we tear down our sisters and brothers who might not believe the same way that we believe. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said that darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can. He said hate cannot drive out hate, only love can. And I tell you that because I've met folks all across this country who are in mixed families like I am. Can I just tell you that I come from a mixed family? My brother is a conservative Republican. And I talk to my brother every day at 7:30 in the morning trying to understand the mind of a conservative Republican. And my brother is black. So I say that because you never know who people love. And there is no party affiliation that will separate me from the love of my brother. And so when we talk down about people, when we call folks who don't believe what we believe names, remember that somebody loves that person. We should be hard on the issues but soft on people. Can we do that? I'm feeling that. So Congresswoman Barbara Jordan said, what the people want is simple. They want an America as good as its promise. And that is what you are fighting for each and every day, whether people believe in what we believe in or even if they don't. We are fighting for an America as good as its promise. And I never thought I would live to see the day when poverty became a crime. When you have policymakers and leaders in this country who have made it a crime to be poor. I have never, and I am a professor in a college classroom, and on the first day of class, I usually ask my students what they want to be when they grow up, and I have yet to have one of my students say, Professor Turner, I want to be poor when I grow up. I want to be on public housing when I grow up. I'm picking out the curtains right now. Because everybody has a hope and a dream, and everybody does not run the race at the same pace. And we are a nation where we have committed ourselves to helping the least of these, and most people understand that except for some of the folks we elect to office, who don't mind passing out corporate welfare, but will talk about folks who need a hand up like a dog. We have to turn this thing around, and the way that we turn it around is not just by what you are doing here in terms of fighting for Medicare for all, but on all the issues of humanity that we believe in. We need to hold these political folks accountable, and if they can't be held accountable, they don't deserve our vote. And nobody, no individual and no institution is above critique. That they can be critiqued. And to such an extent that they then believe that they can't be critiqued, then they shouldn't be in the political business, or what I call the elected ministry. We can critique folks, and we need to hold people accountable, even people that we like and love. There's nothing wrong with that. Can I tell you, sisters and brothers, I've traveled this country. There are people who are dependent on us to continue to fight. I was just in Wisconsin, and I talked to some farmers. And these farmers went to the Congress just a couple of weeks ago to talk to them, not about the farm bill, but about Medicare for all. And elected officials were shocked that the farmers wanted to talk about Medicare for all. But you know why they wanted to talk about Medicare for all? Because they're small business owners. And they can't keep their small family farm intact because they can't afford their own health care. One of the sisters, her name is Sarah, told me that when she went to get insurance on the market before the Affordable Care Act, when she told the insurance folks what business her husband was in, they told her that he could not be insured. Think about that in America. Think about that in America. She talked about how the family is impacted, how small family farmers usually have someone else in their family work a regular job so that they can have health care. Think about that. So whether we're talking about our rural sisters and brothers in Wisconsin or our urban folks in Ohio, the challenges and the concern are still the same. That most people want to live a good life. If they have children, they want to make sure that their children have a future. They want to live in strong communities. They want education systems that are going to create a system and a way of life for their children that were better than the lives that they have lived. Most people want that, whether they're black or white or Hispanic or Native American or Asian, gay, straight, atheists. Most people want to live a good life. That's what they want. And so it is our obligation as the freedom fighters to make sure that we are advocating for all folks without tearing them down. The reason why your fight for Medicare for all matters because it's personal to so many folks. This fight is personal to me, as Deborah alluded to, so I want to testify if I can. There's a song in the African-American tradition, and it says, "How I Got Over." My soul looks back and wonders how I got over. And I'm going to tell you something. I got over by the blood and the sweat of tears of people whose name that I know and names that I do not know, but more intimately connected to me. I got over because my parents were willing to sacrifice, particularly my grandmother and my mother. My parents got married very young. My mother was an only child, and I'm speaking about her, talking about her in the past tense. But I want you to know, nurses, how personal what you are doing to stand up and not relent in this fight for Medicare for all, what it means to everyday people like me. that my mother grew up in a middle-class family, only child. She could have grown up to be anything that she wanted to be, but everybody doesn't run the race at the same pace. My parents got married very young. They divorced early, so I lived the majority of my life in a single-parent household. I am the oldest of 7 children. Trust me, I was supposed to be a statistic. We're social scientists. They write off families like mine. I'll never forget when I was a sophomore at Cuyahoga Community College, because here I am trying to become a cycle breaker, trying to break the cycle of poverty and undereducation in my family line, trying my hardest to have a breakthrough. There was a note on the refrigerator door instructing my husband and I to go to the hospital because that was where my mother was. And sisters and brothers, I didn't think anything of it because my mother had a history of high blood pressure. I thought it was going to be one of those moments, but little did I know that that was going to be a defining moment in the lives of my siblings and myself. When my husband and I got there, I swear to you, a nurse leaped from her seat. We announced ourselves, and she took us back to the bowels of the hospital where there was a family room, and all of my siblings were already there. My brother, who is 6 feet 5 inches tall, everybody in that space, they were crying. And I tried not to let myself be consumed by the grief that was in that room. When the doctor came in, she said, "Family, I hate to inform you, but your mother is in a coma." And I asked the doctor, could I go see the woman who had tried to do the very best that she could? When I got there and I looked into her eyes, and I noticed that her eyes were hanging, her eyes were rolled to the back of her head, and her tongue was hanging out of the left side of her mouth, and the paramedics had cut her clothing from her body. Sisters and brothers, I could no longer contain my grief as the tears started to stream down my face. And at the young age of 22 years old, I had to make the decision about when to pull the plug on the woman who gave me life and nurtured 7 children the best that she could. She lived a life, in the words of Langston Hughes, what happens to a dream deferred. Sisters and brothers, we have many folks in this country who worked their heart out. They tried their best, but their dreams are still deferred because there's a system that is against them. But they try and they try and they try and they try and they try. So when people say if you work hard, you get, sometimes people work hard and never get what they deserve. My mother died at the young age of 42 years old on the system of welfare with no life insurance policy and no money in the bank. I am a safety net child. That there was moments where we didn't have food to eat, or when 7 children were in one room because my mother was struggling to make ends meet. You are standing up for people just like my mother. That health care is our wealth, and having access to that health care and being able to get preventative care is the key to longevity, is the key to life. And poor people need it. They need it more than anybody else. And all of the health disparities in this country among African Americans and other people of color, my God, your fight for Medicare for all is literally going to save the lives of people. I'm testifying from personal experience. So if don't nobody else tell you what a difference that your courage makes, if you don't hear this enough, if you're not told this every single day, I want you to hear it from me, and I want you to play it in your head over and over and over and over again, that you are making a difference. That when everyday people come together and put a little extra on their ordinary, extraordinary things do happen each and every day. Every great social change in this country has happened because ordinary people put extra on it. And that you have demanded from those people who are privileged enough to be in the power centers of this country to do a new thing. We will push and breathe. We will protest and we will plan. And ultimately we will persevere. This is what we do. And we will not relent. We will not cede territory. We will not be scared away. We are not going anywhere. So I want establishment folks to understand that loudly and clearly, that we ain't going nowhere. We're going to fight this. So I want you to be encouraged at every turn. And this certainly is not going to happen overnight, but it is going to happen. So in closing, 3 things that I believe that the creator of this great universe has given us 2 hands, one to reach forward and one to reach back, lifting as we climb. We are our sisters and our brothers' keepers. Number 2, and most importantly, we can't ask other folks to do more for us than we are willing to do for ourselves. And lastly, in the words of my famous grandma, my grandma was born in 1913. She couldn't read or write, but she could count her money. She kept her money in the Southern ladies. The Southern ladies bank and trust. You know, I would ask my grandma, why you keep your money there? She said, baby, them the only 2 suckers I can trust. Woo! And not only did grandma keep her money there, sisters, I'm going to tell you something. She was a pistol packing mama, too. I'll never forget, we went to the grocery store one day and grandma couldn't find the bank account. And she pulled out the pistol by mistake and laid it on the... But one of the smartest women I've ever known and had what we call in the African American community mother wit. When I asked her, what does it take to be successful in life? She said, my dear granddaughter, all you need are the 3 bones. The wishbone, the jawbone, and the backbone. She said the wishbone will keep you hoping and praying because hope is the motivator, but the dream is the driver. The reason why we do what we do each and every day is because we hope and believe that tomorrow will be better than today. The reason why we're standing up for Medicare for all, because we want a better tomorrow. The reason why we want campaign finance reform so that folks can't just buy these offices, because we want a better tomorrow. The reason why we know that money is not speech and that money should not outspeak individual everyday people is because we know and believe that tomorrow will be better than today. The reason why we want college access for all is because we know and believe that tomorrow will be better than today. The reason why we know that folks need paid family medical leave is that we believe that tomorrow will be better than today. That is our wishbone. She said the jawbone, however, will give you courage to speak truth, the power to lift your voice, to use that voice. Sisters and brothers, you don't have to have a fancy title to use your voice. You are important just where you are and who you are. How many of you know that titles are good, but purpose is better? We need more purpose-driven people. You know, we got all kinds of titled folks who get in the room, they just giddy about being in the room. They done forgot why they in the daggone room. Not gonna stand up for nobody, can't get over themselves. They got titles, but they have no purpose. We need more purpose-driven folks in those rooms who gonna stand up and speak up for everyday people. Titles are good, but purpose is better. But grandma said the most important bone of them all, the supercalifragilisticexpialidocious bone, is the backbone, because the backbone will keep you standing through all of your trials and your tribulations. And how many of us know that in this life we will go through some stuff, but we can't have a testimony without a test. And we are being tested about whether we have courage enough, conviction enough, confidence enough to do what is right, even if it causes us some pain. That is our mission. And sisters and brothers, can I tell you that our mission is so high, we can't get over it. And our mission is so low, we can't get under it. And our mission is so wide, we can't get around it. That is our mission for today, to do what we know is right, despite the pushback, despite the circumstances, just like generations before us have done. Nurses, it just doesn't get any better than you. And I'm not saying that because I'm in the room with you. I'm saying that because that is truth. And we are going to overcome all of this, that every single generation is charged with making this world, this nation, a better place for the next generation. That is a heavy mission, but it is our mission. It is our burden to carry, and we must carry that burden. Somebody has to do it. The person on the left and on the right of you, we must do it. It is nobody else's mission but ours. And it is righteous in every single way. I want you to think about the young mamas and the young daddies and the seasoned grandparents and the people who need you all over the country, all over this country. And the beautiful thing about the nurses is that you're not just fighting for health care, you're fighting for the health of the planet. That it is a sin and a shame that still in Flint, Michigan today, that they still don't have clean water. That some of this stuff that we are fighting for this is not just about that person in the White House. This is about the type of people and the type of America that we want to have. Some of the problems that we face in this nation predate Donald Trump. So let's not get it twisted. What he has done is bubbled up all of the ugly, so it's right there in our face. But we got to deal with covert racism, covert discrimination. Because, see, I'm not so much worried about the folks that I can see and who let me know exactly who they are and what they are and why they are. I'm worried about folks who wear blue suits over white sheets. So we got to resist the urge to be lullabied and to be lied to. The people of this country don't even begrudge people who are wealthy at all. But what we are tired of is exploitation. But you are the change. And you are making all the difference in the world. And you must stay committed to this cause that is bigger than you, for you, your family, and generations yet unborn. Now, I want you to picture this. I don't know how many of you ran track in high school. Can I see? So I used to run a little track, Senator. And I was the first leg of the 440 relay. Now that means a sister was fast, man. That means. So I'm going to close with this. Preachers and politicians get 5 or 6 closings, but here we go. But I want you to picture this. Like, you got to go there with me in your mind. You watch the Olympics, the symbolism of the relay race. Is a team race. See, democracy is a team sport. First leg of the race, their job is to get the lead. The second leg of the race, their job is to be in sync with the first leg of the race to get the baton, keep the lead, and advance the lead. The third leg of the race, their job, again, to be in sync with the second leg of the race, to get the baton, to keep the lead and advance the lead. And baby, here comes the anchor. Right? Right there. Their job is to keep the lead, advance the lead, and make it to the finish line. Imagine us. We are running the 440 relay. Decide which leg of the race that you are and run this race. Maintain the lead, keep the lead, and advance the lead. We are doing that for humanity. We running this thing. And there ain't no stopping us now. God bless you, nurses. Let's do this.
Wouldn't you love it? All right, all hail Nina. Okay. Well, what I'm not going to do is let this moment pass. Now, wouldn't it be amazing if Bernie was the president and Nina and Van were like high-level officers in our government? Wow. I mean, can you imagine Van Jones, Nina Turner, Bernie Sanders? I mean, what a country. Gavin Newsom, what a country we would have. So I'm going to ask, okay, so Bernie and Jane and Van, if you can come up here, and Nina, and hop up on that stage for me. All right. All right, you don't have to hop. You don't have to hop. And then I'm going to stage this. Now, this is going to be hell, but I'll try it. You guys are in it. Staff is in this one. Get the staff in the room if they're not. If they're not in the room, they're in trouble. Okay, I'm staging this. All right, Nina?
Yes.
Stage one. Bernie and Jane? Van? All right. Board of Directors. All right, so you're up here. Okay, Van, I'm going to get everybody over. Van here, Van here, Van here. Board of Directors behind me. And then you board members too.